For people that have sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disease and you've had children or you're planning on having children, when and how did you go about asking your partner about their trait status? And if they didn't know their trait status, how did you go about asking them to get trait tested? I say that because I had my hematology appointment today and we were talking on dating and stuff. And I said I'm not talking to anyone anymore, can't be bothered, it's long. And then I mentioned that I had somewhat recently been speaking to someone and I'm not talking to them anymore. And she asked, how long were you talking to them for? And I said a few months. And then I mentioned to her that I asked them about getting trait tested. Now, I'll explain why I do that in a second, right? But yeah, my hematologist then turned around and told me, well, if you were only talking to them a few months, if she was dating somebody and they asked her about her trait status, she'd run to the other side of the world. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting way to put it. Because going back to why I ask men about their trait status so early on is because I would rather know before getting into anything. I don't know, I've treated it like a prerequisite in a way, to say that, yeah, okay, if you don't have the trait, then we'll be fine. Even if they do have the trait, I mean, for some reason, my personal preference has been that I'd rather date somebody without the sickle cell trait. That's my default. But my hematologist did say that, okay, well, when you're talking to someone and it gets to a few years, then okay, it's reasonable then to ask them about their trait status, because, you know, at least if they have the sickle cell trait, they that won't, you know, you can still have pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, which I'll explain that in a whole other video. But I've never really wanted to go the PGT way, PGD, because it includes having to have a child through IVF, and my personal preference has been against that. So yeah, I just want to know how you would bring it up and when you would bring up trait status to someone you're talking to, because maybe I've been going about it the wrong way. Yeah.